clearly know it's not Halloween right now.
Well, it could be. I could be dressed as
Right.
a deer. Well, it's not like I was never a deer in the headlights when I was playing. So,
No.
hey, Alexander. All right. Well, okay. Let's get started. Well, Benelli, can you figure out what time of year this is?
Right. So Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, and hopefully and soon New Year.
Yes, yes. I'm excited about to get to this new year. So obviously, you know what? When I played in the NHL, we used to have these epic parties, these Christmas parties. It was awesome. Like we would obviously make sure that you were dressed up pretty well. And one of the biggest things was these ugly Christmas sweaters. And I feel bad about saying this, but at one point, this was somebody's amazing Christmas sweater. I'm going to
Right.
say, but the best is it's an original because it actually has the shoulder pads on that. So I have two shoulder pads. I feel like I'm playing a hockey game right now. So, but
All right. Somebody's
you know what?
grandmother had to make somebody's grandmother had to make that. Come on.
Well, yeah, and it's somebody put a lot of love into it, and you know what? But let's get a little serious here because I think we have to go and we had a lot of promises last month, and you know what? I think a lot of our users really want to go and know how to go and create those easy drills. So, you know what? Let's just jump into it. Intro. I don't know if I'm gonna ever get bored of that, to be honest. I think it's awesome. And you know what? Obviously, you could tell who created this slide, right? Me, kind of
Very
front
good.
center. I made you a little bit shorter
Yeah,
there.
I get it. Second fiddle is fine.
Hey, you know what? You look damn good though with that helmet, right? You don't want to fall. Well, okay, so let's just jump into our basically the take two. Today's webinar is idea to drill, and we want to go and help our coaches create those very, very simple drills. It doesn't have to be complex. All these coaches think they got to have this crazy, crazy complex drill. But I'm going to tell you, a lot of times when you're teaching these very, very small skills, the simple drills are the best drills. So we're going to go into what are you teaching your players? And then we're going to talk about age categories and what your practices should consist of. And then we're going to get into the real world application. We're going to pick a skill. We're going to create 3 drill progressions, and we're going to share it with our group right on CoachThem. So guys, when we're doing these drills, don't worry about going and writing them down. We're going to go and share them with that group. I'll go and share the link right now if you guys haven't already. I know there's a little was a little bit of a issue with the link before. We fixed it, so everything's good. So go and share, go and get added to that drill group, and you get all the drills on there. So let's go.
Yeah, what's cool too, Mike, real quick for everybody that's on this call, but anybody that listens in later too. After we did the last episode, it was great to get so much feedback from people on Twitter and Instagram and start sharing the drills, because as even when you're doing the research for these small little projects, you start finding all kinds of reiterations of the drills and what you can do, and the simplest thing, and we'll go over that today, really can turn into a very complex piece if you allow it to be, and if you have the skilled players to do it.
And to be honest, the people on this call, I'm going to tell you, they're the ones that we want on this call. The other guys that are not on the call, they should be on this call, because I just love going and I have an amazing time with Benelli. Is probably one of the smartest people out there that is able to go and take a concept, an idea, and he's able to put into a drill. And there's a little bit, like, obviously you're with USA Hockey, so obviously I'm in Canada, even though we invented the game. But we're gonna go and give it props to the USA Hockey. I think USA Hockey, they have come a long way. You guys are really into the small area drills, the station-based drills. But when you're going, the makeup of a plan, there's basically three different pieces of that puzzle. So why don't you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, and I think the way USA Hockey approached this was, they saw a problem, right? They saw this huge nation of players that weren't filling the void of competing at the highest levels all of the time, and we were losing athletes, every year. So I think that's where this spurned, right? You going out, just like we all do as coaches, you go out and you try to take and steal and figure out what all the other good coaches are doing, and you try to build your program around all the best programs. And I think it's the same model. So I think the makeup of a plan, and I love Danny's example over here is that individual skill improvement, right? We want to make sure that we have hockey skill drills, activities, games, but ultimately in the plan, there has to be individual skill improvement, right? I mean, especially, we talk about every league. I just did a program with with a group the other day where we talk about every league. Every league is a development league. And a lot of times, even in the NHL is a development league, depending on the age of the player, right? So we have to work on individual skill development and improvement. Hockey sense, teaching the concepts through small area games. I would even say teaching concepts through the type of drills that we build. We have to make sure that we can, I believe, create and nurture hockey sense. And I think we can really take it away from players when we eliminate their ability to use their own hockey sense. But it all depends on how we build our plans and our drills. And then I think certainly in the plan, as you get older and your groups get more seasoned, systems and team play training, I probably call that more tendencies and things that you would look for that all players should know around the ice surface. But systems certainly becomes a part of making your plan, as you move up the levels of hockey.
No, for sure. And I think it's funny. A lot of times you go to practices, you don't see a plan. You just see a bunch of drills that are just boom. Oh, I like this one. I like this one. I like this one. But do you have a whole entire season plan? And we'll get into that a little bit later on in another series. But that whole entire season plan, that's the high level. But then it breaks it down into these small little individual plans that basically all these plans add up to a season. So let's go and jump into the next part. Now, we're taking this from the American development model, which they call it the ADM, and it's basically it's kind of, if you think about it, it's kind of like the whole entire, you're making a recipe, right? With every practice plan, with every practice, you're basically going and adding the mushrooms, the green peppers, the onions. And at the end of the day, right, you're either making that amazing soup that smells amazing, that whatever, or you're going to basically be throwing the soup out because it tastes so disgusting. And to be honest, you are serving the soup to your kids, your players on the team. And to be honest, majority of your soups should be very good. So they should taste well, because you are going and teaching these kids. It's not like a boss position that you're just having fun with it. Yeah, sure, it's fun, but you have a big responsibility of teaching these kids.
Yeah, and I think having themes too, and learning, and we'll talk about this as we go through these series. I know I ran a practice the other day with a group of 8U kids, or actually 10U kids, some 8U kids roped in there, and I was able to. They knew at the end of practice, said, "Okay, what was the theme of today's practice? Can anybody tell me what the overriding theme was?" And these were 8-year-olds saying it was all tag. Every component of the practice had something to do with tag, stealing a puck, tagging a player, bumper butts, whatever it was. It was all geared around tag, and they knew it. So at the end of practice, they were able to leave with a knowing that they accomplished all these different things based off of how blatant it was. I often call it, and I think this is where we see the balance in development, and what USA Hockey's done in breaking down the percentages of what players do. I always refer to it as giving the answers to the test. We want our players to pass. We want our players to succeed. We want our players to flourish. So our job as coaches is not to find the hardest drills and stump them, right? There's no joy in watching players not complete passes in a flow drill. So we have to think about, how can we give them the answers to the test? Well, we need to provide answers by showing, demonstrating, explaining through video or yourself, and then building the age appropriate levels of adding to these drills to the kids so they can find success. And I think a lot of us miss the boat of, well, it looked like a great practice and the kids are flying all over the place. But really, did they even know what the purpose of that practice was? And did you accomplish the goal of building skill, hockey sense, and systems, within that practice and the age appropriate training you were trying to do?
For sure. And then, so really briefly going through this, U8s, 85% of your practice plan should be skill. Then you get into the 15% hockey sense, and it's 0%. That shouldn't be one drill that is even going over systems. Because in the States and in Canada as well, you have the split ice, right? And then you get into the U10, it's going down to 75%, 15% hockey sense. But then you start getting into a little bit of the systems. You go with the U12. Obviously, you can see where it's going. But if you notice, though, even at U18, you're still at 50% skill for practice. You're always evolving. And that's one thing, even when I played in the NHL, you're always, especially as a defenseman, Brad Shaw had us going and working the line. And there's always room for improvement. And I think people don't realize that skill in a practice is very, 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 very important, because you go to I've seen so many practices that these coaches are they're doing systems the whole entire time.
Well, I think us as coaches, and I'd love to hear from the group too, is that we don't have the time that you had in the NHL. We have 3 hours of ice a week, if we're lucky, and maybe, and if we're really lucky, it's half ice, right? So we don't have, we feel like we have to implement systems to win, because if we just teach skills, the kids there's no structure, and structure is safe. Right. I mean, if I can create, there's a guy, Brant Berglund, out of Boston. He's a ex-video coach for the Boston Bruins. He talks about, in cross ice hockey, in the 3-on-3, the lonely D man, right? That coaches put that lonely D in front of the net and say, you cannot go anywhere else. You play D. In 8U hockey, that's a system. And that's played very often. I mean, you could go to any rink in the United States and watch 3-on-3 hockey, and the lonely D man stands there. He's not allowed to go over the halfway line because he's playing defense, right? So that's our the coaches are the ones that have to overcome that. The kids want to play. So we have to make sure that we're designing drills and practices, but knowing that we have time constraints. I mean, and this is really, honestly, this is where I came to you and coach them. Time is an enemy of ours. So we have to create better time management, getting this stuff on paper and getting this stuff into a shareable, drill planning software is really a great way for us to make sure we have everybody on the same page. But again, like you said earlier, anybody that's on this call right now knows that. So we're just trying to figure out, okay, well, how can we then make our plans even better, more efficient, and how can we make it simpler so that we can get more complex?
Yeah, and it's funny. I actually love the coaches teaching them that they can't leave in front of the net, because I make a lot of money with my hockey school, reversing that thinking part of it. So,
Right.
Okay. So let's just jump into it now. Obviously, we got a lot of different levels, and we're going to be jumping into all these different levels, drill progression. But I think the biggest thing is that 8U to 10U age group. And what would you say the biggest challenge is between the two?
So I think a lot of people would talk about, offsides, right? That's one of the first things that come up is, oh my God, the kids are never going to offsides. But the next biggest anxiety, I think, for coaches is the kids don't know space. They don't know how to break out. Like they don't know how to loop and find time and create space and find ice and layer. Like all these kind of terms that we use are at our 14 and 18U. I think that's probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest things that happens from small area game, cross ice, half ice kind of environments to this full ice level. And it's the breakout. It's how to get out of the zone. And if you have a really progressive coach and a modern coach, the answer is not get that big, huge kid and have him chip the puck off the glass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're not going to be rimming it and chipping the puck off the glass, then what can we do to help coaches develop a plan so that we can teach what a lot of, the traditional breakout, which is, basically a D to a wing and out of the zone.
Yeah. And really briefly, we're just going to go through this really quick, because this is what I do with my hockey school. Because when there's a little thing that I got to teach, I go over what is involved to go and make this skill, even though it's breakouts kind of a pretty big skill. In order to do that, there's lots of little micro skills involved in this. So just kind of let's go very quickly through this. So,
right. So we know the components of any skill, right? Any drill we're going to be doing is skating. That's our number one component. In order to break out, and we don't want to chip the puck off the glass, we have to learn all the fundamentals of passing. From there, you have to know from passing, you got to know routes and spacing. A lot of times I'll call it timing. It's just a matter of knowing where to be and when to be there. And I think, and that's a skill, right? So that route spacing is great, but then there's timing component that has to come in there, because you could be too early or you could be too late. Doesn't matter what route you took. If it's the wrong route, you're not going to really accomplish the goal of breaking out. And then I think at the end of the day, it's communication. I try to teach verbal and nonverbal communication. I want my players to be able to speak to each other in their body language, their stick position, their hand position, where they're opening up to, where their body's positioned, all that kind of stuff. Communication becomes a big piece of it. But obviously, we talk about breakouts, it's skating, passing, finding routes and spacing, combining timing, and then building communication into all of that.
Perfect.
Which seems like a lot, right? But it's not a lot.
No, it isn't, for sure. And I'll let you take control of this screen. And while you're doing that, hey, great questions, guys. We'll be getting to these right at the end.
Yeah. So I think in the realm of what we're trying to do here, right? And I'm speaking about, the idea to the drill. Like, so this is how we Mike and I kind of went about this, is that, and this is how I problem solve this a lot with the way I run my programs. I really try to be, I really try to be as progressive as possible in thinking about, well, what can I do to influence the way I teach and how can I teach it the best way? So what I often do is go out and find video. So either I find the video after the idea comes about, or the video inspired the idea to build a practice, right? So Mike and I were talking. We want to do breakout routes. I follow this guy, this legend, Wally Kosak, up in Canada. He has a ton of video, so I love taking video from Wally. But I'm going to show you basically before I build my drill. So we're going to do the basis of a breakout drill. I want to be able to show my coaches and my players the base for that. So
just wait before you put that. I just want to let everybody know that Benelli and I were talking about this, and we were coming up with drills. And it's funny that the drills that we ended up coming up with are the ones that were in this video. So we've already come up with these drills, and we're just like, let's go and find a couple of video clips that would go and demonstrate that. And they're thinking the same way. So they must be brilliant as well, Benelli, right?
Right, yeah, but again, it's not, nobody's like hockey fundamentals are hockey fundamentals. Unless you're gonna, the bottom line is routes and lanes and finding areas of the ice, especially at 8U and 10U and 12U. It's basically the same, right? But how can we teach it? How can we give the kids? Let's teach the basis so that the kids can be creative and start flipping pucks off the glass and doing reverse curls and whatever they want to do. But there's still some basic structure, right? So that's kind of what we went to here in the route. So what I did now, the great nifty piece, and most of you that are on this call will know, CoachThem enables you to embed videos. So I took this video, I screen grabbed it, I put it on, I use Vimeo, but you can use YouTube. And then here it is. I'll just show you it real quick. So when my coaches get this drill, they get a pretty easy, pretty raw footage. This is nothing special. It's just a screen grab. And it's basically just showing, you're going to see that as we develop the drill, this is what I would think most of us would say, oh yeah, D's down low, player curls, grabs the puck up the boards. Now, there's a ton of things that are happening here that I could probably critique about the way the players are doing this. But again, this was let's find the drill that everybody can see, and then we can build off of. So that's just the drill that I would use. That's just the drill I would use to show the basis of where we want to go.
Yeah, and it's funny, those are university players doing breakouts. So it's never like a lot of, like, you could start young, and to be honest, it's every so often, even older, you have to go and review these fundamental skills.
Yeah, listen, golfers don't go on the course, right, without thousands of hours of chipping balls, before they go out to a match. So it's the same thing. It's just repetition. We're going to go over that a little bit here as we build the drill. So, so there's a couple of, I'm going to, so my initial drill. So when I think about, well, here's a player, I'm on the ice. This is a great little feature here. I got my borders are up, right? I got a long border there. It's helping me out. I'm going to call this player 1. So this is going to be basically the same drill we just saw on video. This is how I'm going to explain it to the kids. I'm going to have player 1 and then player 2. Now, player 2 needs to get from A to Z, right? So player 2 in this breakout needs to get here, right? So that player needs to get to the boards. So as we're out here, the coaches are here. Everybody knows where they're supposed to be. In this particular example, we're doing a station-based practice. Mike's gonna help me walk through how we show this in 2 stations. But basically, this is how I would start this progression. Again, and most of us are on this call probably are way more advanced than this, but this is just, again, the idea to building the skill in the drills. So here's my I'm telling my kids I want to get from A to Z. So I've got to now take routes to get there. So the way I can draw that is I can show them. I can even do these drills a couple of times and say, this is probably incorrect. I don't want to come here. I don't want to go at the boards. I want to angle so that I can open up to the play. And then my teammate can stationary, so this person stationary is just making a pass to me. And then all I'm really doing is taking that puck, and I'm taking that puck here and I'm skating up the boards. And that's the end of my drill. That's the end of my station. So we can take that station, the first step in building a drill, and I can show on paper and on the video where that angle is, where I want my player to go. Again, I'm not a big fan of stationary passing, but in this case, this is probably an 8U, 10U team. Get the puck on your stick, make a pass, and we're doing all those things, right? In the key notes, we're telling the player, have an active stick, face the puck, open up, be ready to get a pass, and the other guy's making a pass and you're sweeping the ice. You're not slapping the puck. All those kind of things we can build, and we can do this drill. Really, you saw them do it. I mean, that video I think went on for like 12 minutes. It's basically just repetition after repetition after repetition.
And I think what's made my hockey school very successful is I ended up stopping practice, and I have the kids on one knee right in front and showing them routes. And right there, you're just showing based on our straight line tool that you're able to go and show the different routes. Well, I ask the players all the time, I'm like, well, what makes the different routes? Well, I take a more of a shallow angle or route because maybe the player ended up getting the puck a lot faster and he was able to go, he needed to unload it. Or if he was taking his time or going slower or mishandled the puck, I might have to take a longer route to that area. But at the end of the day, you are trying to go and get to that area where that pass is. So that's one thing to go and have the kids just sit there and just be like, okay, look at these different routes. There's so many different ways of going and approach and getting to this one point, but you have to go and make a split-second decision on what route you're taking. And that's the one magical thing about this game is there's so many different ways to do the same thing.
Yeah, and this is, again, this first part, drill 1 of this component of breaking out, all it is the skills that are going to be needed for high-level breakouts later on down the road. And again, your team might already be past this, but you might be able to do this as a station for 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes in practice, and you could do it. You know, the nice thing about, like, I like this, and Mike's gonna he's gonna yell at me if I mess this up, because I should be really good at this by now. But so basically, you know, when I go through and I'm having these 2 stations, you know, you're able to take these drills now.
Well, Benelli, let's go and get everything set up, because they want to know where all the players are, right? So that's one thing with me being a coach. I want to know where all these players are. So if you're able to go and put on where the lines are, you could either have in the corner, you could have defensemen in the corner, or you could have just everybody doing both positions, right? Because at the end of the day, go ahead.
Yeah, no, in this case, like, this is just a rotation, right? So in this case, I would probably have this player pass the puck. This player would come out in the end of the line. New player would go down and play D, and we do it again, right? Little groups of 2. So, you know, if I was describing this drill and writing it out, you know, I would probably have this player here is becoming this player here, right? First. So player 1, player 2, and those are all great. You can do all those kind of things. And then we could take this drill and we could flip it. I actually want to go to the next drill, Mike, but so you could take this drill, you could flip it, you could make it both sides. That's the great part about this 2.0 is that there's so many different ways you can cut and paste and turn and manipulate and eliminate all that time, right? And redrawing the drill, which I was doing last year, just redrawing the drill, just the opposite way.
Yeah, well, let's take, so the best is we got all our X's in position. So now the second part of the drill will be a lot easier. So let's go and just copy all of them and flip it.
Okay, so we're going to copy these drills here. We're going to Control C.
Yeah.
We're going to get out of here. Move this station over here. And then what am I doing, Mike? Control.
Well, you go into Shift H is for horizontal flip.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you drag it into place. Yeah, so
I'm going to be able to take this play, and now I have it so that I have a 2 station based practice. I have station 1 on my left, station 2 on my right. The kids get to work on their backhand catch, forehand catch, passing, you know, moving the puck. The kids get now, you know, in this particular station, I might even have the kids switch sides each time too.
Yeah, no, I think that's great to get both sides. So let's go and save this one, because I know our users are going to want all the people on this call are going to want to be able to have access to that. And you know what? We're going to do a progression. So we're going to do the save as, or some people call it duplicate. So we're going to at least we're going to say drill 2. And then from drill 2 over exists. You know, so you must, yeah. So let's go to drill 2A. And we'll fix it later. Yeah. So from there, let's go and delete all the one side on the left. Control Z to get back.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Mike's you're the expert.
I'm the expert. Control Z to get back to it, and then we're gonna go and do the selection tool to make sure that not all of them are in there. Perfect. Awesome.
Okay, so now we're in.
Yep.
Good. No, well, now we're going to progress, right? So I think what I would do here is I would start this progression now is really based off of the kids being in the same area. And what I would probably do here is now I want to add some movement, right? I want to add some movement to the drill, because I want my players to understand that, well, that's the game. The game is movement. Now, I'm not a big cone guy, but in this case, I might, probably at my team, I would probably draw like a marker on the ice here, but just to show some space. And I'd probably start adding in like a little coach play here where the puck gets dumped in for the player to pick up. But then the progression is basically first player skating in, picking up the puck. I know Mike doesn't like when I do freehand, but we're gonna keep going with it here for a second. And then this player now is going to take ice. So as that player starts to take ice, the second player in the group, and I'm gonna make him a red line so we can differentiate the lines. This second player now is going to read the play, and he might, as Mike was talking about earlier, he might wait and wait and wait, depending on being late or early here, right? So if he's late, he might have to go deeper, or if he's late, he might have to go quicker to the wall. If he's early, he might have to create a deeper pivot. So then as this player comes up now we're looking at that player with movement and their feet moving, having a basic breakout pass. I can change that line. Sorry. I could change that line to a pass. And now we've just developed a drill from a basic standing still passing drill to a player moving out of the zone, catching a pass. And because we want to teach the modern game, teaching that D to move up the ice with that player.
Yeah.
So we're talking like, if that's my drill, I'm talking to that D, take ice, move up, and then everybody's kind of moving up together, that nice 45-degree angle pass. And we're moving up the ice together. And this player on the wall, we're teaching this player that you can't come in here and ask for this pass, because now you create an angle that doesn't work, right? So I think the key here is to make sure these players understand that when that player takes that lane, that you need to maintain your lane so that player can make a nice, easy breakout pass, or skate the pass, skate the puck up the ice. You don't even have to make a pass. So if I was working with an older group, right, Mike, I would probably have a player every once in a while. I might have this coach come in here and make that D see that and make the D skate it out.
No, for sure. And then a couple different options for defensemen. He's going in there. Sure, he's coming back to the net, but faking to come back down the up the boards and pass it up too. So there's different variations that you're able to do. But you know what? This is a great second stage of this drill. So let's go and change.
And I'll add the notes in later. Sorry, Mike. I'll add the notes in later about, just to your points. Like, this is at 8U and 9U, shoulder checking, looking behind you, taking a lane, maybe doing a little punch step, where the kid can punch out and go the other way. Like, this is where you want to do these things, right? This is the time for practice. If the kid wipes out and falls down, who cares? You get up and get the puck and do it again.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, a lot of people think that they have to touch the puck in order to go and make a move, but there's been a lot of times that I would go for the puck. I wouldn't even touch it. I would make the move first, the fake first, and then grab the puck. So there's so many different things, and it's crazy the amount of different pointers that you could go and do. But right here is a very, very amazing drill to the next step. So let's move on to number 3.
Okay, so I'm gonna save this as drill 2A. So that's saved. I'm gonna go to, hopefully we don't have a drill 3 in here I built already. So we'll see 3. Now, now we're progressing even further, right? So in this little scenario, we really don't have to move anybody. Now, what I would probably do here is, now I'm getting into a place where I need players to understand that there are D and there are forwards. So in this case, this is going to be, I can take this and make this so the kids understand in my diagram, this is forward 1, and then I can let them know this is forward 2. So as I'm writing it up down here in the description, the nice cool thing too is I can add, I could add forward, the forward icon in here to let them know visually what this is. But basically now I'm into a position where I want to get a little bit more movement. I want to get options for breakouts. I still want this D, the first D that's going in, or in my case, like with my players now, my 14U players, I really don't even I try not to talk about them being a defenseman. It's just P1, the first person back. And here's the player that's coming back in the zone. And they're either surrounding the puck this way or they're surrounding the puck this way, right? Depending on where I put the puck. So I'll try to put those pucks in different areas. But in this particular drill, we're going to keep it simple, where the player is going to go in, they're going to skate down, going to retrieve a puck, and they're going to start coming back up ice. So they might do a little head fake there. And now I'm going to get them in a position where they're working up ice. So F1 is going to know that they're leaving the line, just like we've been doing. So the progression still maintains that F1 has to go maybe a little deeper now and look to make this play so they can get to that area of the ice. And then F2, same idea that we talked about earlier, that we want them to get from point A to point B. So in this case, point B, and I'll try to show this sometimes to the kids live, is point B is right around here. So in order to get to point B, what do they need to do? They need to mirror the puck carrier, right? So as the puck carrier comes up, they have to realize that this puck carrier is going to make a breakout pass up the wall. And then as they mirror the puck carrier, they've got to realize, I can add another point in here, right? Now they can realize they're coming here. So that this second little touch pass can come up the wall here. And now we have a true breakout. And, now we have options in our breakout that we can add as reiteration number 3. Mm-hmm. Now, and as Mike and I are talking earlier, going through these drills, I mean, it was like a 2-hour conversation, but now this drill could go really full ice. Now we can get to a point where now you're really seeing the play come up the wall, guys cutting, he's slicing the rink in half. The D is coming up in the play. Now that D might become the second player into the zone. And again, you can just build and build and build. And this is where you start letting the players be really creative, because then they can start determining what lanes are open, what lanes aren't. But none of this works if at first we don't have the ability to skate, pass, find lanes, know routes, and communicate, right? How many times have you seen the player go up the wall and they just keep going up the wall and they leave, and the other D or the player with the puck doesn't even have it yet, right? There's no communication, no indication. They're like, oh, just doing the drill. Well, we gotta make this drill, create the same type of atmosphere that we'd want in a game.
No, for sure. And the one thing about this is the drill 3. I had ideas when we were talking that they would come up the ice. There would be a 2-on-0, but in order to make it somewhat half decent for the goalie, we don't want a 2-on-0, but you could almost have it a forward coming up ice and button hooking just inside the blue line, and they're able to go and pass it to the guy in the middle. And instead of him going in on a breakaway by himself, it would allow him to go and take a one-timer or a quick little shot from that. So these are things that, even though you are on a smaller half ice, you're able to go and take this and you're able to bring it into a full ice drill. So it's go ahead.
Yeah. So as Mike and I were talking, I mean, obviously you have to adjust some of this stuff here, right? But the components are still the same. It's still a D. Like if, as you're drawing this drill up, you're still going to have the components that you can create a full ice drill very easily just by staying within the drill that your kids are going to know, right? So you could have your coaching staff here at center ice. You could have this, maybe, obviously this is not going to be as big as a stretch pass as this might be here, but what you're doing is you're creating the same atmosphere and the same fundamental skills that you would do in full ice, but you're just doing in these micro areas. And what you want is clean, crisp, easy passes to be successful so that we can get to those longer, bigger zone type plays. Mm-hmm. And that's what's great. Like, in my opinion, that's what I love about the CoachThem, especially the new version, is that now I can take this. I don't have to redraw it. I can stay within my mindset and say, okay, I know kind of where I want to be, and I still want these components, but now I just have to make this a full ice drill, and I add, maybe I add 8 or 9 more players, and I add a little bit more detail. But basically, it's the same drill we just did in the corner, and we just turned it into a full ice drill for my 18U kids.
Yeah. And what we'll do, guys, we're going to go and grab these drills. We're going to go and fine tune them, make them pretty for you guys, and we'll put it into a practice plan, and we're going to share it with the group. So everybody that ended up going, make sure that you go and click on that join group. That would be awesome, because we want to be able to communicate with you guys and be able to share certain things. So let's really briefly go to a couple of the questions here. So Christine was saying that, does this also depend on skill level of the players, regardless of the age? Now, what I would say is yes. So basically, when we were talking about the different balance in development, we're talking about, obviously this is based on U8s, as a standard U8. Now, if they are a little bit more inexperienced, because you got to go look at your level of your team. So maybe it's just like school, right? Some kids might be stronger at math than not, but that teacher goes and has to adjust their plan for that school year based on the students that they have. So if your team is a little bit not as skilled, or maybe they had a weaker coach the previous year, you might have to go and bring it down a little bit of level. But I'm going to say, if you really go and focus on the development of those players, and you stay within their skill level, they're going to go and evolve a lot quicker. Because if you go and make them stretch too much, sometimes these kids, the development actually gets hurt, right, Pinelli?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question on level, right? I mean, I do an adult clinic down in Brooklyn, New York, and it's as simple and easy as you can get. Doesn't matter about age. It really matters about skill level first. It all matters about what their athletic proficiency is, and then what can they handle mentally, right? So you listen, I've seen 8U teams that do drills 1,000 times better than my 14U team. They're higher level skill for their age. Does it make it where we should be doing these exotic breakouts and schemes? No, you still have to. I mean, one of the cool things about doing these series with Mike is I get to go research all this stuff. And all I do is find videos of pro hockey players doing all the simple stuff. You'll watch, and again, we don't have that opportunity as youth hockey coaches. I don't have an hour and a half to work on, with a kid on face-offs in the rink after practice. I don't have it. So I got to figure out ways to collectively work with the group. But great point, though, about the skill discrepancy. I think you can help. That's why I think these kind of, block drills and, the whole world is around small area games and all play. But sometimes the play is not fun if you can't have the skill to do the play, right? So we have to teach skill and where to be and how to make plays so that then we can have more fun when we're playing.
And I don't think it's wrong to tell a parent, your kid is a little weak in this department. Why don't you go try a hockey school or defense first? Or going and working on yourself. Like, it's funny, everybody goes and expects that coach to go and magically go and make everybody improve. That's the goal. But there are a lot of things that you do outside of your team that go and help that out also. So I wouldn't be shy about going and telling them, hey, as you probably have seen, your son or daughter is a little weak. Have you ever thought about going and put them in, edge work school or something?
Yeah, well, perfect example. I've been working with so many kids with this slap passing. It's like it literally my head explodes when I watch kids get the puck and they slap it back and they slap it back and they slap it back. And I don't have, not that I don't want to say I don't have the time, because I guess I could make the time, but I don't have the, I don't have the luxury of working with one kid that's the slappy puck kid. So I will tell that parent, said, listen, do you have some Polyglide at home or some synthetic ice and a rebounder? And all you got to do is pass and get. and pass and get, and do that 1,000 times. You will improve because you'll know when you're slapping the puck, it's wrong. Or get the kid in the rink before, just the motion. But that's why these drills allow us to do that. They force the kids to be in motions. Like a lot of times with my little guys, I'll make them exaggerate that breakout drill. Like they'll have to pull the puck all the way back and then make a pass across their body because it forces them to sweep the ice as opposed to getting the puck. I think Eric has the same, one question, right? It's just we're all so fast to, we got to teach them. Well, you can't teach them without the skill. So why are you trying to? You're not masking the fact that they don't have skill. You just have kids that you're losing your mind because the kids pass the puck and it goes down and it's an icing. So teach them. Get them in good positions where they can learn that. Oh, you know what? That 10-foot pass is so much more successful than a 25-foot pass.
Well, and I think, to be honest, the reason why you're and Eric said it, the reason why your team is not great at breakouts is because you don't take the time and instead of doing standard breakouts, break it down. You can't go and just do a full-fledged breakout, right? Like, oh, guys, go and do a breakout, do this, blah, blah, blah. No, you have to go and break it down for them. And I think Benelli has done a very good way of breaking it down to simplicity. And like we just saw a university team going and doing breakouts and breaking it down by step 1, step 2, step 3, instead of be like, all right, we're going to go and have a guy come here. And it's funny, all these, I've seen it so many times that these coaches go and magically think that their kids are going to get it. But really you have to go and sit down there. And that's the connection between you and your kids, is that little time between you and your kids that you're able to explain things.
And reach out to me. I mean, that's one of the things I did a couple of years ago. I was so like, I had this great argument with a proponent of full ice teaching, right? And flow drills and how we have to teach breakouts on a full sheet of ice. I said, well, but we all have the same problems. Maybe we have different levels of kid. Maybe we're like me. I twice a week, I'm on the ice with like 3 different groups of ages. So I have to do station-based practices. I don't have the ability to do full ice flow drill practices, but I can teach. So I developed this breakout practice, which is 6 components of the breakout, all built in 6 different stations. And ultimately it turns into a breakout. So if you looked at if you were overhead in the rink and you were watching the stations, you would see a breakout. But the breakout occurs in all these little facets of the rink. So let's teach the facet and let it grow from there. And I think that's where coach says, oh, okay, I see when the kid went from station 1 to 2 to 3, they just broke out. Oops, sorry. They just broke out down the ice. And then when they go from 4 to 5 to 6, they broke out the other way. But they did it in quadrants and in steps and in your, micro drills. Like they did it in ability where they said they didn't have to see the other net. They just had to see the next zone.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, Benelli is insane with these drills. So go book time with him. I'm telling you, for the amount of money you guys spend on pucks, like you guys spend $100, $120 on pucks. And to be honest, Benelli, he charges a lot more other places, but for CoachThem, he's making it that it's $100 US dollars for the full hour, guys. Like I think that's
it's almost free. But it is fun. And I've had so many great conversations and I think, it adds so much, but honestly, it's so cool for me too, because it makes me think about all the different like limitations we all have as youth coaches. I used to get upset with the whole, you see like all the big drills that come out from Colorado. I said, yeah, but you guys are sitting around a desk all day developing drills. I'm getting off a train and having to run the practice and hoping, my wife remembered to put my skates in my son's bag. Like, so I don't have that time. So this is the way to do that. And to really say, okay, what are my challenges? What can I need help with? And I think I can help with that. I think I can do it in a pretty quick manner as well, which I think benefits anybody that gets on these calls.
Well, I'm going to say, John, there, 60 to 70 kids on an ice surface. How does that even work? It's crazy. But obviously the small sessions, the small little area, station based, obviously you're able to incorporate a lot more, but just getting your coaches on the right page and making sure that they're all set up. And then, so one of the, I'm going to tell you one of the things I was very good at balance. I ended up going up against 6-foot guys. Guess where I learned my balance? I learned it in the backyard of my friend's dad's backyard, and he took water and he sprayed it, and it froze. And the inconsistencies of the ice, I was literally having to go around a tree. So I'm gonna say something like that is so much better than having perfect ice, because having the inconsistency of the ice, and that really did help me with my balance. And a lot of people, like, they want the luxury camps and everything. Just get them on the ice, put them on the ice, and let them have fun. I'm just gonna kind of say, hey, the 10% discount, the C Series 10, go and utilize that, get that 10%. I know a few of you are not on CoachThem. Join our group series where all the drills and plans will be shared. And honestly, guys, book Benelli. The way that you're able to book Benelli is our first webinar announced it. It's going to be in our second webinar on our blog on CoachThem. You'll be able to click on him and book him. I'm telling you guys, there's been times, even with my hockey school, I'll go and say, hey, Benelli, do you have a drill? And I would basically book, him, I would just give him a call, and him and I would just go through kind of different concepts. I think it's fascinating talking about this, and you know what, Benelli and I have so much to share. We're so excited. I think that this is a pretty good time to kind of wrap this up. But thank you so much, Benelli, as always. Really enjoy.
Thanks for offering this. Thanks for offering this platform. Like I said, it's made my life 1,000 times easier. I got a cabinet here full of binders and drills I haven't looked at in many years now.
Thank you so much, guys. Enjoyed it. You have a great night.